Hi, thank you very much for inviting me to present this brief intro to my PhD research. My name is Patrick and I'm a part-time PhD research student with the University of Portsmouth. My research is identifying linguistic cues for deception of an insider threat. Sorry, I should be sharing, presenting. Right, so for my initial experiments, I'll be using real data. In the Utilities Corporation, Enron, and for those who are not familiar with Enron, they went from being the 7th largest corporation in the United States at the beginning of 2001 to filing for bankruptcy in December of 2001. Investigations into the collapse of Enron identified their unethical and fraudulent accounting practices as the core reason for their collapse. So as a result of the Senate and the Federal Energy Regulatory Commission investigation, data has been released to enable researchers to analyze the data, and in which case I'll be analyzing it for deception. The data consists of emails, telephone calls, and other company meetings with transcripts involving Enron's senior executives. The outcome of the investigation highlighted that Enron was hiding losses within their business entities that they set up for that specific reason, therefore submitting false accounts. And senior executives were offloading their stocks in 2001, making millions while convincing employees and other stockholders to continue buying. One of the biggest challenges with my research is, one of the biggest challenges with using real data is establishing ground truth. Therefore, I'm using the investigation findings for this. So my initial experiment is concerned with the communication of 2 senior executives. The first senior executive delivered a 60-minute company-wide presentation with a questions and answers session. That happened 4 months before the organization filed for bankruptcy. The second senior executive delivered 3 stockholder meetings over the first 3 quarters of 2001. That also included a presentation, 30-minute presentation, and a 30-minute questions and answers session. So all the utterances made by these senior executives with regards to the profitability of Enron and positive statements regarding stock will be classified as a deceptive statement, and every other statement that they've made will be classified as true, and that is based on the investigation findings. So my research hypothesis is that deceptive insiders will use more first-person pronouns, more cognitive processing words, and more negative words in their deceptive statement. Taylor et al. In 2013 carried out a lab-based insider threat experiment identifying insider threats used these tactics more than truth tellers. The first experiment has produced a null result, and that was based on the company-wide presentation. This wasn't a surprising result. Identifying deception using real-life data is complex. So an example of a statement that was made by the CEO was, I know some of you are worried about your stock prices. I'm worried about my stock prices too. So that statement is true. The CEO was worried about his stock prices. Evidence showed that he'd spent 9 months offloading it and making millions from offloading it. So apart from the impression management aspect of that statement, this is deception by omission, and therefore too complex to identify specific linguistic cues for deception. The second part of my experiment is not fully completed yet. However, there are potential signs that there is a greater use of cognitive processing words when lying. I'm actually completing the t-test at the end of the week for this, so I'm looking forward to having the results for that soon. So 2 takeaway points from the research that I'm doing. So high-stakes lab experiments will not always provide accurate results. It's worth considering applying research to real-life examples. And I think this is quite important from an accuracy perspective outside academia, which I believe using real-life data will become an important aspect of establishing accuracy levels. And then from an insider threat perspective, there needs to be a better connection between academic research and real cases. This will develop a greater understanding the deceptive tactics an insider uses when carrying out their threats. So that is my research, a brief introduction into my research. So thank you very much.